Yeah.
Yeah.
If I
Actually,
cosplayed you and they made a Funko Pop of your character, I probably still don't have you, but the few that I do have are characters that I've cosplayed. I have 2 Negans and a custom one that someone got made for me of the comedian, and that's all the Funko Pops I have.
They don't have a comedian?
No. I don't even know if they have a Watchman line, but someone... there's a few people online, I guess, that will do custom Funkos for you, and someone got me a custom Funko comedian for my birthday, so it's pretty sweet. Not gonna lie.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
that's so cute.
Yeah.
I've already started recording, so
No,
we
it's
just
right here.
Yeah, we'll just. Oh, okay. Let's see.
It's literally...
Oh, it's so
wow.
cute.
Yeah.
Look at that.
2 shabs, right? Pretty good. So, get me.
I often thought that one day I would start customizing those things and like making my friends, but once you cross like once you cross the 28-year-old threshold, time is it's a theory. You don't have it.
You don't have it.
I tell people like all the time, JS and I talk about on the podcast all the time too. I get people that want to make their own stuff, and I applaud you for doing that. I can always make more money. I can't get any more time. Once the time is gone, it's just gone. Money's not a problem, but I'm going to be 49 in a couple of months, man. The time is just slipping away. I don't have time to sit around in my basement and make stuff for hours at a time. I'll just pay somebody younger than me that needs money, my money that I don't need as much anymore to do that for me. Mm-hmm. That's where it's at. Custom Funkos, man. I can't even imagine how long that took.
You know, the U.S. calls that trickle-down economics. You are stimulating small businesses.
Am I the Reaganomics on this podcast? Because I don't want to be the Reaganomics on this podcast.
It'll trickle down anytime, guys. Just hang tight.
Just keep waiting. It'll be good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you know the average price of a home in London, Ontario now is $900,000? The average price.
Like the median or average?
Well, I just said the average price. I literally just read an article about the average price is $900,000 in Ontario right now.
I hear you on that. I think a correction is coming. I think a swift correction is coming. I've noticed on Reddit, a lot of people are starting to panic about their mortgage payments going up.
Yeah.
Something's going to happen with these rising interest rates.
Yeah, there almost has to be, right? Something's got to give. I don't want another financial collapse like we had before with the mortgage rates, but I mean, shit, something's got to give.
I know. Unfortunately, it's going to be like the middle class, ma and pa people that are most vulnerable. But I would love to see corporations just fry for buying up all these properties. Yep. Boy can dream.
Sorry, I know that guy's. We're just slightly off topic.
What are we
here to talk about today?
I mean, anything but Moon Knight episode 6. Welcome to the Full Volume Podcast. We are Marvel. We made our own bed. We are a Marvel Disney Plus TV show after show sort of bitch fest. I can't.
We're a bitch fest. That sometimes talks about TV.
Lately,
prompted to.
Yeah, like when we're inspired to, which we're sort of inspired to now because we're all triply upset.
I think the word's like just tired, but also relieved.
Oh yes, yeah.
I'm a little upset.
When you know you have a big weekend ahead of you, and then that weekend is over and it's Sunday. And you're in a bathtub with like a CBD bath bomb and like, you know, you have your iPad or whatever the hell you're doing, a book. Do you know what? The best one is the book. Mm-hmm. You have a book and it's like just a delicious story. I'm going to go with Station 11 because I'll always pimp that. That book is the best. Anyway, that's what that felt like when I shut off the final episode of Moon Knight until Geoff reminded me that there's an after credits scene.
Which is 100% not your fault, by the way, because it's the first one they've had on the show, which just dives into how tonally all over the place this show was right from the jump. So,
okay. So, yeah.
Do you think that's intentional, though, with all the different personalities? Whether or not that was conveyed appropriately, I'm wondering if that was their intent.
Do you know what? I will say if it's their intent, they should have rewatched the episode and said, yeah, that didn't work.
Yeah.
It's not working. We
sometimes,
should stop it.
Yeah, and maybe sometimes, like, I'm reminded of Wonder Woman 1984, which a lot of people really, really didn't like. And I understand all the reasons why, but I think the intention was to make it look like a film that's not just taking place in 1984, but a film that was made in 1984, because it had all of even the cinematography. It looked like it was made in 1984. And I think maybe you're onto something. Maybe they were trying to make this so scattered and tonally all over the place to represent what's going on inside him. But I almost needed like something at the beginning of the very first episode saying, hey, by the way, none of this is going to make sense. None of it's going to jibe up. It's just going to make you angry throughout. Just this is why we're doing it. I still would have been like, that's still stupid, but I mean, so dumb.
Okay,
all right.
so to format, we'll recap. I encourage, as the queen of tangents throughout, because this is going to take some tangents to talk through. So who wants to... Brent, you want to start? Just tell us. Tell the kids what exactly happened, if you dare. Oh, we lost your audio? I can't hear you.
No, I can't hear you. It's so random.
The red light is on. Oh no.
Okay, hello?
Hi.
Yeah.
There you are.
Wow. Struggles that I go through daily are insurmountable. Okay, so episode 6, titled Gods and Monsters, again directed by Mohammed Diab, which at this point we haven't really talked about, but he's directed almost all of the episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So, episode recap for you. Per Wikipedia, but also per my brain. I'm doing a half and half little mixture there. So finally, Arthur Harrow frees Amit and kills the... This recap is a little out of sequence here, but we'll go with it. Arthur Harrow frees Amit, and he kills the avatars of all the other Egyptian gods. We'll get to that. Jesus Christ.
We sure fucking will.
Layla finds Khonshu's Ushabti and releases him, while Arthur Harrow had freed Amit. Again, very out of sequence. Mark Spector refuses to stay in the field of reeds. I remember that kind of being at the top of the episode. And he returns to the Duat Sands to rescue Stephen Grant. And then they have a cute little scene where they like carry each other into the gates of Osiris. With Toweret's help, they escape through the gates of Osiris and they awaken in their body. Khonshu rebonds with them, but not before trying to convince Layla that he wants to be Layla's avatar. And Layla's just smart. And she's like, fuck that shit. And so, anyways, Khonshu rebonds with Mark and restores his powers. Layla discovers that Amit can be rebound by multiple avatars, and she agrees to become the temporary avatar of Taweret, which, why? But okay. They join Spectre, Grant, and Khonshu in fighting Harrow and Amit. So this is that big scene where we get Khonshu and Amit fighting basically as kaiju Godzilla-style monsters against the backdrop of the pyramids. And then in the streets of, is it Cairo? Was that Cairo? In the streets of Cairo, we have Mark Spector and Stephen Grant and Layla fighting Arthur Harrow and his henchmen. So that was fun. That's happening at the same time simultaneously. That's our big action set piece of this episode. Harrow overpowers Spector and Grant, but then he has a blackout. And all of a sudden, Mark Spector comes to, and Harrow is unconscious and bloodied on the ground. Meanwhile, Spectre and Layla seal Amit into Harrow's body, imprisoning her. And then Khonshu urges Spectre to kill Harrow and / Amit, but Spectre refuses, and Layla tells him he shouldn't. And then Khonshu releases himself from Spectre and Grant. And then the pair find themselves in the hospital, where they reject the vision that Arthur Harrow had projected, and that they choose to continue their normal life together as heroes. And then in a mid-credits scene, we find that Harrow is executed by Jake Lockley, who is Spectre and Grant's third alter ego, who is working with Khonshu.
The end.
Fuck. Where do you start?
Well, I think the first thing, I don't like this entry on Wikipedia is out of order. I don't like that. I'm trying to think of the first scene of this episode. Was this the first beat? Was Spectre refusing to stay in the field of reeds?
Yeah, I believe so.
It was certainly early. in the episode for sure.
It's early, but I feel like the whole thing about Harrow freeing Amit is not the very first scene of the episode, which is what this description entails. So I guess we'll start with the Mark Spector storyline of him rejecting being in the Field of Reeds and rescuing Stephen Grant, and then going back through the gates of Osiris and awakening in his body. I understand that's intercut with Harrow scenes, but what do we think of that? Him, having a second opinion and then coming back to life.
It's so very conveniently timed. With Layla, who's just out there in the living world, freeing his god so he can be an avatar. So it can happen more than once that he inhabits a human body and brings it back to life, because at this point Mark Spector's body has been dead for a while. Right?
And I think he had too, the rot.
In the brain damage and everything else, but I thought, didn't they describe in the previous episode that when Towerette was basically given the instructions, excuse me, didn't she say Khonshu had to be free, like Layla had to free Khonshu first, and then Stephen and Mark could go back? But didn't it happen in the inverse of that? Didn't Stephen and Mark go back? Because then Khonshu then sensed, he's like, oh, Mark is back, and then he goes flying off after Mark after trying to convince Layla.
I don't remember the order, but that further proves our point that the pacing of this is weird. Do you know what I mean?
Super weird.
Like, I don't doubt that maybe Towerette said that in the previous episode, that would be nice logic if they followed it, but just the way it was intercut was very like what came before what. So
no, exactly. Is weird. Can we take a second about how many ultimate things happened off camera in this episode? Can we explore that?
Well, let's go to the first one. Arthur Harrow freed Amit and killed the avatars of all of the other Egyptian gods.
Yeah.
What the living hell? Pans away, and they're all just like dramatically on the ground after. Sorry?
In death repose. Like, what the...
Like, was Amit that powerful that he could just wipe out the other 5 avatars, seemingly not even breaking a sweat? And it all happens off camera for some weird, stupid reason.
Yeah.
But, like, Osiris is, like, able to, like, live for another couple of minutes and then dies of, like, a nosebleed or something, or, like, a little coughing up blood. Like, what is this power? It's not well defined. And, like, Osiris is supposed to be, like, the gates of Osiris. Like, you think...
No. Yeah. Yeah. What is this power exactly? Like, how did they entrap Amit in the first place if the avatar could have just walked in and just mopped the floor with the other avatars without any issue whatsoever, seemingly in like 30 seconds or whatever it was? But even then, we don't know how any of it happened because it all happened off camera for some weird stylistic reason.
Yeah.
Power levels are not defined. In my mind, power levels have been defined. They have been defined since, like, Egyptology in like the 8th grade. Like, Osiris should not have fallen.
No.
Also, Towerette storms in there in true hippo fashion and murders everybody. So I guess her power level is very high. I don't understand.
This is one thing. I'm going to bring it a little full circle for a moment.
Okay.
We compared this series to Yu-Gi-Oh! At the top of the show back in the first few episodes, and the one thing that Yu-Gi-Oh! Does a lot better, I can't believe I'm comparing these two, is that when a character is played, a Yu-Gi-Oh! Card is played, and the character emerges, and it's, I don't know, Dark Magician, it gives their power levels on your TV screen so you can follow along who can fuck up who. That would have been appreciated here amongst all these Egyptian gods.
Yeah.
Just say.
Like, just steal a page out of, like, Edgar Wright's Scott Pilgrim playbook.
Oh, yeah.
Just give me an energy bar in the top left-hand corner, please.
Give me hit points and give me attack power.
Yeah, the problem is Marvel does this, all that Thor's power has waxed and waned throughout, Hulk's power has waxed.
Of
like,
course.
They've been doing it right from the jump, and it's just whatever the script, whatever the story needs for them to be power level wise. But yeah, you guys are right. It's hard to keep track of who can kick who's that. Like, how do you root for somebody in a fight if you have no idea where they're at? Oh, it's Tuesday. They're not quite as powerful on Tuesday as they are on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're hungover. Maybe they're, I don't know. But yeah, I just found it really weird. and then to follow it up, keeping with the avatars, Towerette says they can re-trap Amit in a body this time instead of a new Shopti, even though trapping her in a new Shopti worked last time, but we're not going to do that this time. We're going to trap her in a body, but we need more avatars to do that. And apparently more avatars just meant one. Because there only ended up being her and the other one. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's just another weird logic gap that, like, why have that in the script unless you planned on having some additional avatars show up? Or, okay, who wanted her to break more of those goddamn statues when she went into the goddamn tomb with the goddamn Ushaptes?
Yeah. She was like just like carefully examining them.
Come
like,
on, you saw Ra. You saw the one with the little... I'm like, just Anubis, Ra, something that we would know and recognize and help and whatever. No.
So
do any of that.
Is it just me, or is Layla the only intelligent character in this show that deserves respect?
It's not just you. It's
Jolie?
100% not just you.
Steven is smart, but like, he's like book smart.
But like Layla's the only one that's like not an idiot. Do you know what I mean? Like she's the only one.
She's street smart. Somehow she knows martial arts or street fighting at least.
Which we saw in previous episodes. So like I actually bought that regardless if she had an avatar. I'm like, oh yeah, she whips ass. She's a Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
No, but, I mean, she's made some tragically terrible life decisions, but we've all done that. So that's...
Yeah, but she's like a nonsensical, like rational human. She feels the most realistic, maybe, out of all these characters.
Well, I think she is supposed to be the audience in, right? Like, she is supposed to be who we relate to the most because she's the only one, like you're saying, that's not just completely batshit crazy throughout. And all these nutty things going on. She is the level playing field. So,
yeah.
Although, again, weird. Like, why does her hippo costume have wings?
Oh, because here's the thing. She is somebody called...
Red Scarab.
Yeah. Or the Sapphire Scarab, I guess they're calling her now.
Oh, I thought it was red. My bad.
It is red. Okay.
Sorry.
Whatever. Sapphire is a shade of red.
No, Sapphire is a shade of blue.
Sorry, Ruby is a shade.
Could you guys fight over gemstones? This is going to be
amazing. I'm not like a gem and crystals earth witch. So
can you imagine if we were Thanos' minions? We would fuck up so hard in collecting. Are you going for the sapphire one? No, I'm going for the sapphire one.
And then we
getting the blue one. That is the blue one.
We all show up for the red one.
Whoops.
Sorry,
okay,
Daddy.
So from the comics, you mean she's the Scarlet Scarab or whatever? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Red Scarab.
Red Scarab? Red and Scarlet, those are the same thing. Shut up.
But Scarlet is red.
But is that still Tuaret's avatar in the comics, though? Is that what you mean? okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump on that point for a second, though. Question: Did anyone else find it a bit obtuse that, like, out of the blue, Toweret's like, I would like to be your avatar? Like, what is her motivation for?
I don't know.
Yeah, because so far she's just driving the boat to Osiris, back and forth.
All she was concerned about was like ferrying souls to the field of reeds. Like that was her job, and like I feel like gods really stick in their lane usually. I don't know.
Apparently not in this show.
And it seemed like it was just whatever happened in episode 5 when the twins were on the boat fighting the guys that Mark killed, boat zombies or whatever.
Souls dead, yeah.
And Steven just said, "Please, we have to go back," and she was like, okay. It's like she's been doing this for millennia, but these are the first two to say we'd like to go back, and she's like, "Oh, would you? All right, yeah,
yeah, not only that,
that's cool.
But
how can I help this process?"
She helps.
Yeah,
she drives that boat right into like a wall
of sand,
so that Mark can escape.
Okay. Is the voice of Toweret, the voice of the hippo, was that the actress that plays Layla? Because that's actually kind of... It wasn't. Because like I noticed, when she's hiding behind the tomb, Layla is, and she goes back and forth between Toweret and Layla. I'm like, oh, maybe they just use Layla's voice to voice the hippo as well. Like, like a British voice and then a weird... So do you think it's not the same voice? No,
it's another actress.
Oh! You're right. Yeah. I remember seeing that in the credits now.
Yeah, when Toweret was first introduced to us, a lot of people were like, "Hippo! Who is the hippo?" And then, like a lot of Easter egg spoiler videos on YouTube were like, "Well, that's a good thing. that this actress has been listed as being in the credits for the next 2 episodes. We are going to get more Hippo. We're going to find out who she is. Whatever.
Slight correction. It was Scarlet Scarab, not Red Scarab. I apologize.
Oh, okay. What did I say?
You said Sapphire, but then Geoff said Scarlet, and that, yeah.
I think I'd read a couple of recaps and they had mentioned Scarlet Scarab, so I was like, that's got to be what she's doing. But I don't know how that ties into the hippo having wings. But I don't. The costume is dope, and she looks dope in it, and she kicks all kinds of ass. So like a check mark for that. If we get more of that, I would be 100% down for that. I don't think we're going to, but I mean, 100%.
So now we transition to the fight in Cairo, where it's Moon Knight and Scarlet Scarab versus old man Ethan Hawke, who is like doing so much impressive wire work and brawling, set against the backdrop of a kaiju film of Khonshu versus Amit. It is positively daft.
Stupidest.
So in our culture, we have giant folklore, and there's like this I think it's from the 80s or the 90s, but there's like this really hokey Thai giant film, and it's obviously just women with mustaches filmed from the ground up, and it's amazing, and that is exactly what this reminded me of.
But is it hokey potatoes though?
It's hokey hash browns.
Hokey hash browns now? We've upgraded to hash browns? Okay, good. Yeah. You said hokey potatoes on our podcast on Thursday, and it's really stuck with me. That's going in my lexicon for sure. Love it. Hokey potatoes. Yeah, and just the dumbness of it too, like the CGI battle between Mark and what's his name, Haro, up on the pyramid, when all of a sudden old man Ethan Hawke is just like he's in the Matrix all of a sudden. Yeah. Terrible. And then the kaiju battle in the back, which I don't think really matters a whole. Like, I don't think the gods can't kill each other, because then there'd be no reason to put them into a Shapties or entrap them in bodies or whatever. So I don't even know what the point of that is, other than it's just a nice, cool, big CGI kaiju fight fest. and then when Mark Spector finally defeats Haro, we don't see it because it happens off camera.
Which is so inexcusable. If they wanted to pull that trick and tie it to the end credits scene, he should have been surrounded by a bunch of minions, blacked out, woke up, they're gone. But Mark Spector / Stephen Grant should have been the one to defeat Haro, just from like a character resolution perspective,
Real. On the balls. The
inexcusable
gall. The lion, the witch, the audacity of this bitch. Like, how do you do that? And try to get away with it. And everybody's just drinking the Kool-Aid on this. Like, oh, it's so great. No, man. No, you spend 6 episodes building up this bad guy. And then we finally get the fight between the two, the hero and the bad guy that we've been waiting so fucking long to see. And then the defeat happens off camera.
Yeah.
My lips have been pursed for 6 weeks.
Unreal. Just unreal. Like, I'll accept the CGI. I'll accept the purple lasers. I'll accept old man glam hair going toe to toe with these two badasses in these great costumes. Like, if you want me to eat all of that, no problem at all. Don't give me the ultimate defeat of the bad guy off camera. What in the Josh Brolin in No Country for Old Men fuck is going on around here? You can't do that.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. I'm good now. I had to get that off my chest. I was yelling. I was yelling at my TV when it was happening. I was so mad.
I think they took a page out of the 1997 Mortal Kombat Annihilation film, where like just people were killed within like 2 seconds. Like Johnny Cage's neck is snapped off screen and all this stuff. It was just not. Why do you do that? Like, I actually have to admit, the battle, as preposterous as it was I was entertained by it. I was like having a good time watching it, and then that happened, and I was like, what? Like, it's unreal. The only way it could have been worse is if they did not give us a post-credit scene revealing Jake. That would have just been wild. Like, no, we're not going to show you.
Unreal.
So for anyone who's made it to this point, we're obviously going to spoil it. There's an end credit scene, and yes, you do find out that there is a third altar. There was a third altar. Both Mark and Steven are simultaneously not remembering or losing time that they are aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they both acknowledge it. They're like, well, if it wasn't you, then who was it? And here we are, driving a car, whatever, it's a car.
So weird what they've done with the DID on this, though. Go ahead.
I was say a question about that scene. So, like, yeah, the end credit scene. By the way, we're skipping all the resolution because we don't give a fuck. Basically, Moon Knight defeated Arthur Harrow, and Amit got merged to Harrow's body. The end. Boring shit. Mid credit scene. Arthur Harrow's in this institute, but is that within someone's mind, or is that actually playing out? I felt like just by the setting, because Layla was playing a nurse and all that. So I'm like, is this real?
That's the weird part, because we still don't really have a good explanation for the other two psychiatric hospitals that kept on appearing throughout. Like, were those mind palaces of Stephen and Mark to try to deal with acknowledging the alters and working through that trauma, or was it a real thing that they were going to, an alternate dimension or plane? Like, I don't know.
Unlike a very specific mind palace that we were comparing it to, that mind palace is full of answers to questions.
Yeah.
This mind palace, however, well, I mean, yeah, I'm currently obsessed with Benedict Cumberbatch. So,
did you go last night to watch Doctor Strange?
I sure did.
Oh, bitch. Okay. I was like kind of nervous to go to the theaters because, like, you know, I figured it would be packed. Anyways, sorry, I cut you off.
Not fully masked. Popcorn inside.
Mask for mask. That's a grinder term, by the way. Doesn't mean what you think it does. It's not about masks.
No. I think we picked up that it's not about masks.
But now we want to hear more because it's infinitely more interesting than this.
Oh,
but anyway, I will. Yeah, sorry. I will say. All I'll say about Doctor Strange is that Sam Raimi is a horror genius.
Good. I'm going to see it tomorrow morning, so I'm looking forward to it. I've heard some very mixed reviews. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Just go in with that knowledge, and you'll be okay. Okay.
Do you guys know? Okay. Sorry, go ahead. No. I'm just curious. I did a bit of a dive on dissociative identity disorder, right? Because I wanted to have a little bit better understanding, because it seemed like when the show started, they were doing pretty good lip service to it. So what I didn't know is that it is essentially the exact same thing as multiple personality disorder, but because of the, I don't know what you would want to call it, the glamification of that disorder in media, movies and television after Sybil and everything else, essentially the medical community basically got together and decided to rename it so that it would not have this connotation with silly soap operas and tropes in movies and TVs. Did this show not just take all of that and take a giant steaming dump on that with the way they ultimately handled? Like, they made it seem closer to what those tropey soap opera multiple personality disorders were as far as the mental illness goes, because now Stephen and Mark can just basically just switch back and forth just completely as needed. Both have completely acknowledged each other, but then there's still a third completely off personality that's this crazy, obviously psychopath killer, and neither one of them know about it on any level, but now they can switch mid-flight between each one of them as is needed when they're in a giant CGI fight fest with old Bon Jovi. Like, it just seems an awful way to treat a mental illness. Like, I figure if this was anxiety or depression, we'd be rioting in the streets with pitchforks and torches. But because it serves the plot and it's a superhero show, we're just like, yeah, it's fine if they're kind of basically making fun of this sort of disorder.
Yeah. Closer to the start of the show, when we were happier about its existence, Joshua Mervell was on the show, and he has read a lot about DID, dissociative identity disorder. Yes, DID. And he had also watched and read a lot from the DID community, who were actually applauding the representation of Stephen and Mark as a sufferer. I feel like it was accurate to a point in the beginning.
Yeah.
To service the character study that they have given us. But once we no longer required a character study of Stephen or Mark or Jake, whatever, it became it became that super tropey shit that we see in soap operas, where they're switching, they're talking, it's played out for laughs. It's played out a lot for laughs and action. And it was described as like a lot of people see the inside of their selves, where all of their alters live, as one place, and they all exist in this one place. Some of their alters have not met each other, which apparently is accurate. So points for that one. But like, yeah, I think you were right. It does get a little just.
Well, instead of the story serving the disorder ended up serving the story.
Yeah, towards the end.
Yeah, I think especially the I think what's distressing about this whole situation is the end credits scene using Jake in like I guess there was hints about it throughout, but like you leave the viewer off on a note that DID is unpredictable and dangerous. Like that's kind of like the connotation you're giving with it, which was kind of, maybe not great. Like don't play it for sinister, like, oh man, he's got another dangerous personality, we better watch out for that. Like I'm sure they'll try and redeem Jake when we see Moon Knight again, but if somebody just watched Moon Knight and that was their takeaway about learning about DID, which I hope is not what they would use to learn about DID, I think it would be sending the wrong message, maybe.
No, 100%. I don't think there's any maybe about it. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Before we get to what's next for Moon Knight, which would have been a brilliant segue, Brent, since you just brought it up. One thing I do want to point out trope-wise that I actually texted Jolie about because I was so mad about it is watching Mark kill countless minions, but then when it's time to kill the actual bad guy, not only is it a no from Mark, it's even Layla saying no. And they've both been doing all kinds of killing up until that point. Like, I get you're trying to have some sort of a moral thing, but you can't kill 30 guys and then suddenly by not killing the last guy, you're a good guy. Like,
because reasons.
Because he's charismatic? Is that why we don't kill that one? Because he's got good hair? I don't get.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating watching that shit. Don't try to do the moral quandary with me, like, oh, is he bad or is he good? Should he kill? No, you just killed 30 dudes. What's 31?
Yeah, right. We already know. Amit already said it. His scales don't balance, bitch.
His hips don't lie.
No.
Whack that bitch. Yeah. Anyways, sorry.
Just get rid of him. And he doesn't care if Amit knows or not, because he was like, "I get it. Thank you, Amit, the savior." Like, that
was cool, actually, when he was resigned to his fate instead of trying to argue for sticking around. When he was like, "My skills don't balance, cool, man. Do what you gotta do, kill me." And she was like, "Do you know those rules of mine that you've been purporting for I don't know how many years, and you've been killing countless hundreds of people to justify? We're just gonna throw those out because you're useful. So take the staff up and let's go be cool together." And I was like, "All right."
The scripts need you.
That's right.
You're going to live.
That's right. We cannot kill you with your magnificent hair.
We need a crossover.
Okay, so speaking of that, what is next for our boy Moon Knight? They have been pretty clear that we're not getting a second season.
Oh no!
Yeah, I know. I'm really, really upset about that and sad. So, what do we get? Do they shoehorn him into the MCU? Do we get some sort of a Spirits of Vengeance, magic using style team up show? They team up with, I don't know, Ghost Rider and somebody else. Like, what do you guys think and or want to see next for Moon Knight?
I think that Scarlet Scarab is what's next for Moon Knight.
I'm on board.
Yeah. By introducing a new character into the MCU, that is ultimately better than most things I've seen. Also, how do you waste a hippo like Toweret?
Don't waste
you put her into more Avengers things. That's what you do.
So that's what I'm saying. So would you rather see her in the movies, or would you rather see her or him in some sort of another television show that's more of like a team up show, a la Falcon and the Winter Soldier or what have you?
Oh, you're using trigger words now.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
You're going to put her in a TV. Wait, we want to see her in a well thought out, well paced, well scripted, well directed TV show. However, they're going to put her in a film and fuck it up.
Now, you don't get her without him, though, right? Like, you keep saying her, but you're not just going to get her. You're going to get some Moon Knight with that as well. Probably more Moon Knight than her. So,
fine.
I want Scarlet Scarab to turn up in every single Disney MCU Plus show going forward and tell the characters why they're being stupid and just set them on the right path and try and fix the script. I want her to be the voice of reason in every single show.
Mm-hmm.
Can we get that?
probably, but then the episodes, there'll be 2.5 episodes, and that'll be the entire series run. So I don't think it's going to work. Just one person to step out every now and then just to go, that's dumb, don't do that. You can't have that in these shows.
No, I know.
Show.
She's just like, she's too good. Like, she's too good of a human and like too smart to be caught up in this nonsense.
I honestly thought they were setting her up to be just another tropey damsel in distress when they first brought her onto the show, and I was like, like, this is so dumb. And of course, at the same time, I'm like, this dude's cuckoo bananas run, bitch. Like, what are you doing? Why are you still chasing after this guy? He's clearly all the issues, all the red, like, could there be any more red flags? Guy's chained to his bed every night. So
he's got baggage.
And a lot of baggage.
And we're not talking the DID. Like, we're just talking like he's got shit.
Yeah,
like,
a lot of
to someone.
Shit. He needs.
That's not Arthur Harrow.
Time. No, but I'm so glad what they did with her. But yeah, I honestly, I would. Yeah. So TV shows, is that what we're thinking? You don't want to see Moon Knight in the actual MCU movie style? Do they?
I would like to see him as like a secondary or tertiary character and a, like, I don't know, whatever they decide to come up with next. I feel like him and Blade and Ghost Rider and a few people are going to he's going to be a tertiary or secondary character in one of their shows. Well, he'll be in the big action sequence in the finale, but it's not going to be his character arc that's resolved. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He'll be there to help.
We know that Blade's coming, so it'd be really cool to see him sort of crop up in like a Marvel property. Oh, fingers crossed that treats horror elements like horror elements.
Yeah.
Because this could have been it could have still been the character study that they wanted, but if it was just like a Tomb Raider style horror, like we got a glimpse of that in the one episode where they were like watching one of where him and Layla were in the tomb, and somebody was like eating somebody.
Yeah.
Taking out their organs and put them in canopic jars. Anyway, yeah.
That's it. Yeah. That should have been the entire tone for this whole thing.
There was
you could have still
tones.
you could have still had a brightly lit psychiatric institution for him to be in his mind palace, but that is like, you know, that's in line with horror, right? So just there's so many things that could have happened that didn't happen.
I remember them talking early on that the brutality level was supposed to be like a Daredevil level brutality, and that is not remotely what we got on any level at all. Because most of the like really, you know, egregious fights happened off screen because it was Jake that was doing all the badassery. So
I wonder if it got cut for Disney.
Maybe.
You think so? I don't know. What did they do with the Daredevil series when they brought it to Disney Plus? Did they cut all the violence from that?
It's a good question.
No, they like, if you're in a kid's Disney
profile,
it doesn't show up in the Marvel category.
Okay. That makes sense, actually. Okay.
Like, just like American Horror Story doesn't show up weirdly.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
I went in all day and it was all like, you know, Cocomelon and Disney princesses. I was like, oh, this is my niece's profile. Oh my god. Yep. Okay, so it's over.
So we loved it.
We liked it fine.
It was like,
did we?
I can't decide if I'm like, I don't want to like spoil a future ranking episode, but I don't know how we compare it to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And like, I feel like I talked more shit about Moon Knight than I did about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But I also think this show was more fun than Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
But not good.
Ultimately for me, it's the level of disappointment is much, much higher in this one because all of the other shows have been characters we already knew. So it was just them sort of filling out their characters and backstory and such. They had an opportunity really here, and I feel like they really, really blew it to introduce a new character in a series level show, which they haven't really done up until now.
Yeah.
So can you imagine like a 6-episode Cap or a 6-episode Thor or a 6-episode Iron Man that would have come out before, those movies came out instead of just the actual movies themselves to get us familiar with the character and such? That would have been dope because you would have had so much more time to subtleties and nuance and backstory. And that's what they had the opportunity here to do. And they just screwed it up so badly. I'm just so disappointed in it. So yeah, I would take 2 Falcon and the Winter Soldiers over this.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Me too. I mean,
Yeah.
you get twice as much. If you take 2, you get twice as much Zemo dancing. Yeah, in an Eastern European nightclub. Eastern European? Moroccan? No.
Well, Madripoor.
Madripoor, sorry.
Yeah.
Which was, by the way, one of the only fleeting connections to the MCU is the mention of Madripoor in this show.
Do you think, really, really quick aside, I know we're running low on time, but do you think that was done purposely so that we wouldn't get the tired old tropey neckbeard argument like, well, where are the rest of the Avengers when all this is going on? Do you think that's why they kept themselves distant from the rest of it?
150%.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Toxic fandom. They were scared of it.
Yeah, agreed. Okay. I'm glad we're on the same page on that one.
It is acidic.
Yes.
Okay.
Is it rating time? Are we rating just this episode, or are we going to rate the series overall, or are we going to do a little from column A to a little from column B?
Let's rate the episode.
Okay.
I give it 2.5 giant omits out of 5. Because I enjoyed the fight scene. And Layla. And that's it.
I think I give the last episode 3.5.
Ooh, that's a spicy take.
Yeah, this one's not as great, but I like there are different things that I like about it. I give it a 2.8 giant kaiju omits.
2.8.
Okay.
My fucking protractor.
It's not a 3.
Wait, it's not a 3. You're right. It's not a 3.
It's barely a 2.8 though. Ooh.
It would have been a 3. I thought what they did with the giant crocodile lady. I thought Amit looked way cool. Do you know how hard it must be to animate like a crocodile mouth talking and make it like believable? And then with the big dreads, like she looks so badass. And then Layla badass. I have to take Amit's off though for the off-screen bullshit. And especially that Harrow fight. So yeah, it's 2. I can't even get to 2.5. It would have been 3, but I had to take a half point off for each of those 2 stupid things. 2 crocodiles.
Okay.
Or alligators. Was she an alligator or a crocodile, by the way?
An alligator.
Alligator.
Is it? Yeah.
Alligators. Oh, gators, of course. Yeah, she's an alligator. Yeah, all right.
So what's next for our properties? Is it Miss Marvel or is it She-Hulk? Or do they keep changing the schedule on us? I don't know.
It's whatever it is. I think it's June 30th is when it premieres.
Oh my gosh!
I think it's Ms. Marvel.
We have 2 whole months of tier lists to create.
Oh girl. Oh girl.
Ms. Marvel is first episode date June 8th is for Ms. Marvel for episode 1. So yeah, not quite that. Like you got about a month. You've got to fill. Yeah. So 4 episodes. I'm sure you guys can do that.
So next week, because I can predict the future, / we've already recorded the episode. Next week we have some like specialness. We have a full volume exclusive. The cast of the Spider Cast joins us for our everyone's favorite part of the full volume podcast, says the analytics, our tiered lists. So between each Marvel property, we do tiered lists, and with them, we did a tier list of all the Spider-Man films. Yep. So
did it mostly line up with what we talked about on Thursday, Jolie? I'm just out of curiosity.
Most of us did.
Most of us.
Not all of us.
Yeah. No.
Not all of us.
All right.
A lot of us, I think across the board, we all can agree about, except for Mike, Andrew Garfield. He's just so beautiful.
Oh, I mean, are you kidding me? When they talked to Sally Field about her role in those films, she's like, I absolutely hated it. The only thing I liked was working with Andrew Garfield.
Apparently, he's just America's British sweetheart.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So,
Andy's talented. Like, he's that beautiful, and he's talented. You know what? Fuck you, Andrew Garfield. True. That's not cool, man. Like,
yeah. I mean,
so upset.
Have I watched him kiss Stephen Colbert multiple times? Yeah, I have.
I agree.
I can't get over that. I mean, I'll watch him Oh, the community has pegged him for queer baiting, but do you know what? I'll watch it all day. He's an icon. Come out or don't, I don't care what you do. Just continue to kiss other men on camera so that I enjoy it.
We need more of that, especially now, just with the way the world is going. We need people being defiant.
Yeah, it's just so the world can know that it's okay to kiss other men full on the lips, blush, and then go in for a second kiss. So, anyway.
I'm down. I'm a little scratchy right now, but I'm good with it.
I am... Yeah, sorry.
having a stroke? Are you okay? Are you good? Like you just off in a fugue state there for a second. I was worried.
Okay, so yes, for the most part, it aligns with our thoughts and feelings, except for Mike. That's it.
Okay. I will watch. That's coming out next week.
Bex Luther had some spicy ass takes as well. Let's be real.
That's Bex. That's what are you gonna do, right?
Yeah, we love her for her spicy.
Oh, I loved it. No, it made it really interesting. Like, because you got people on all ends of the spectrum. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Did we include the Venom?
Of course we did.
That's right.
How could we? We didn't include Morbius because Bex said, and I quote, "It transcended all motives of space and time. Like it could not be rated."
So stay tuned for that. I think it's a two-parter.
It is.
So you have 2 fun-filled weeks of us and the Spider-Cast talking about tier listing. It's a verb now. All of the Spider-Man properties from Sony, except for you, Morbius, up until this point. If you... Wait, no, that's not the part. Thank you, Geoff, for joining us. Sorry, my hair is coming out. It's really distracting me. And then I saw the time. I was like, oh my God, freak out. Okay. Thank you, Geoff, for joining us.
I'm glad we could rant about Moon Knight together. And I'm glad we were all on the same page on this one. So
we made it, guys.
We did.
And as always, thank you, Brent, for being the best co-host in the galaxy.
Yeah, can I admit something? I'm super jealous that you get to co-host with Brent because I love JS on my podcast. Don't get me wrong, but he's just no Brent. Like that's, I mean, keeping us on the straight and narrow. I mean, pun not intended. You know,
I am neither of those things.
Yes, you guys are absolutely fabulous together. I love coming on this podcast. That's why I listen to the podcast every chance I get, because you guys have charisma, chemistry.
Actually, message me was like, did you say fuck Shrek?
I was so mad. I said
fuck Shrek, Tower, it's the new Shrek.
Oh, you did say that, yeah.
Yeah, so you're like, fuck Shrek. And I was like, did you just say fuck? I'm rescinding my offer. And she was like, are you friends with Shrek? Like, I have kids that grew up in that era. I've seen the first 2 Shrek movies a million times. So yeah, I am friends with Shrek.
He has feelings about Shrek.
I do.
The man sent me an all caps text about what I said. Those are hot feelings. Okay,
I was mad.
Anyway. Yeah, you can listen to... just like Geoff, you can listen to all kinds of our charisma. We've blasted it all over the internet at www.comicbooksyndicate.com. You can watch the video podcast, or you can listen to the audio version of this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Wow, my brain is really slowing down. iHeartRadio, pretty much like wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Just search Full Volume Podcast or the Comic Book Syndicate Network, and there we will be.
Sometimes I think you also have to search FVP. Some search engines just want FVP. I don't know. I feel like it's Spotify.
Yeah? Okay.
I don't know.
It probably is. Sometimes when the Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode titles are too long, I'll put FVP number at the end. So yeah.
That's why.
Nice.
Also, let people know where they can listen to your podcast, Geoff.
Thank you. Yes. So it is the Geek Boutique podcast. We run every Thursday at 7:00. So we do a live on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram on Thursdays at 7. So if you want to tune in and chat live with us while we're doing the podcast, get some questions in, get your feedback in, or just be silly geese like the rest of us, tune in Thursdays at 7. Otherwise, you can listen to it on any of your favorite podcast platforms. Typically drops Friday morning. And you can check us out on YouTube for the video podcast. And we've also started to put out snippets. So we'll just take like a 5 or 6 minute segment from the podcast and put it up as a snippet. All that can be found on the Geeks and Co. YouTube channel. So, and there's geek tests, there's cosplay builds, there's all kinds of stuff on that channel, but the podcast is on there too. So check us out if you like geek and nerd shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you get to hear from the lovely and talented Jolie a couple of times, actually. And Brent, if you are at all down, we would love to have you on as well.
Oh, man. Sure. And we'll have to find a topic and to geek out about.
Sweet. We will be in touch, good sir.
I mean, wrestling.
Oh, yeah. I never talk about it with people. I could talk about wrestling.
I think JS is a guy. I think he digs the wrestling thing. So I don't know anything current. So you guys could help educate me for sure.
Also, X-Men?
X-Men, Nintendo.
Yeah. Oh, dude, you're in. You're so in.
Look at my hat.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect.
Look at this.
Yeah. Yes. Look at all the networking happening.
Gigantic nerds. That's how we were brought together. Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, me and you too, Geoff. Huh.
Yep. Right? Weird. Yeah, I was going to do Negan today, too, because it's going to be a little bit chillier, but I think...
You opted for Obi-Wan.
I did opt for Obi-Wan, yeah. It's a little more relevant right now with the trailer just out and the show coming up, so, yeah.
Makes sense. All right. Well, do you know what? Until next time, keep it loud, folks.
Keep it at full volume.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.